Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Islands of Insight. So, we found probably another mystery because there's this spider web-like series of chain puzzles here. And at the very least we found a chain of puzzles to do, and I guess one really difficult puzzle we might do also, although it's not directly connected, so let's start where we can start with the 2 stars. This is find the difference or found the difference. So, no 2 dark areas have the same shape and size. This is going to take a while. All dark regions have a region of 4. Okay, well, immediately that means that has to be that way, which then eliminates some possibilities, meaning that, and then this has to be this way, which then means that has to be that way. So this is going to start off pretty easy, but these are the same shape, so then that has to be that way, which then opens us up to that, which I think means that can't be that, which means that has to be that, which that doesn't make any sense. So it has to be that. Yeah. And then regardless of how we push this, if everything has to be 4, then that comes into play, I think. And then if this was here, this couldn't be here. If this was here, this couldn't be here. And this couldn't be here. So this, I don't think, can be part of the path at all. The only solution, I think, actually is that, to make a square. I wouldn't say that's particularly easy. And so, I also imagine we're going to, let's see. The only way this can be 4, which dark regions have to be 4, is to do that, which then blocks out around that one, which then I guess means we can do that, and then that, and okay. All dark regions have 4, and they're all going to be the different, which I think kind of means that has to be that way, because it couldn't touch anything else to connect, and that limits us down to some other options. This can't be connected. And let's see, we need this to be 4, but it could go that direction, so we don't know for certain. This could be a straight line. This could be a T. Inherently, that is going to connect there, and then it couldn't connect there, so that has to go that way. Which then means this can't be just a T. Yeah. And it can't be any S. As far as these, I'm going to start naming these, are Touch of Nemos. They do have proper names, but that are more commonly used, but I couldn't tell you what they were. Yeah. And again, this is stuff that you definitely would see Sudoku variants on Cracking the Cryptic having similar situations, similar type puzzles. Wow, it seems almost like every option is available to you, but you really don't. You're going to either have the S shape or the square shape. If we did the S shape here, then we would have to do an S shape here, which would duplicate it. So I would suspect that means that has to lay out like that. Then we can't do the S shape again, so we have to do the T shape. And now we can't do the T shape or the S shape, so we have to do the L shape. There might be a limited number of shapes you can make with 4. That is keeping this much more manageable, whereas you otherwise would have real trouble. So between the two of these, one of these is going to make the S shape, one of these is going to make the L shape, which means this can't do the L shape and can't do the S shape. So that means it has to do the T shape. Which, if this can't do the T shape or the L shape, it then has to do the straight line. And then I think that means, assumedly, that has to do the square. Putting that at the L shape, putting that at the S shape. And this is where the split happens. Connect all the light dots. No two dark areas have the same shape. All the dark areas have the same region of 4, and darts say the opposite color, so those are all there. That is there. One of those two is dark. Well, no, we don't really know that. You know, 2 of those 2 are dark. If we have to do 4, then we have to go that far. 5 means that there's at least 2 things. But then you have to have a connection too. Straight line or L shape is locked in. This 5 and 3 screams to me that things probably need to line up in that direction. And yeah, this would be white, so this has to go here. Which, yeah. That. Connect all light cells and connect all dark cells. What? No. There's no way you can connect all dark cells. No, it was just that needed to be a different shape. Okay. I suspect that is exactly correct. There. So then if this needs to be there, we need to then make the S shape. Okay. There we go. And then we're going to have a really difficult one, which is probably good to just immediately forecast. Yeah, it's something like that to begin with. Okay. Let's see how this is going to go. See, now weirdly, I need at least a 2 here to do that. Doesn't have to inherently be in those spots. We are connecting all light spots, however, which won't be too difficult. One of these is... Wait a minute. Yeah. So my thought here is that it's something along that line. Making some real guesses here. Yeah, the 5 nature of this basically says there's a decent chance that it is just a straight line, but we already have a straight line, so we know if that is right, that can't be right, which means there has to be some other shaped thing. And that would get to that. See, that would almost get you perfect. The only trick here is we need an S shape instead. Yeah. So that's one branch. Let's see. No two are the same, for all light regions have an area of 5. Okay. So then that has to go out that way, 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 that has to go out that way. That makes our first light region of 5. That has to go out that way, which then makes our second dark region of 4. What do we know for certain? This could be a block, or this could be an L. If this was an L, then that would be 5. If this was an L here, that wouldn't work. If this was a block, then that would be 5. I guess inherently that means that is white. Yeah, and I guess inherently that means that is white. It's just a matter of, is it a block or is it an L? Which we can say at least that much is true to solve that much. Now, the rest of it still feels like you're kind of getting into some fairly heavy speculation. If I was to make this an L, it can't be a T either, so think it's gotta hit something like that. And then the only thing I could see is something like that. Okay. Now we have viewpoints. Count the number of visible view things of the same color. Dark regions are 4 again. Nothing's the same shape, and all light sections have to be connected. Okay. Well, what we know for certain, if this is a 7 and this is a 5, well, at least one of those is dark. 2. And if this is a 2, then we know actually at least 3 of those are dark in this column somewhere, which would mean there's at least 5 of them in this column that are dark. So if we were going to do straight 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think we pretty much have to do that. That sees 1 and that sees 3, but you would have to see 1 more here. Why does this see more than 2? I'm confused. I'm doing this totally wrong, am I not? Yeah. This one only sees 2 before being blocked. It can't be there. And then this one sees 5. If we block that off, then something like that would block that off. Okay, we're at least in the right spot. So then this one's blocked off. And then this one is blocked off completely here. Which either makes it 2 black here, or 2 black here. Could be 2 black here. Let's go ahead and use a foresight. Interesting. It tells me something more, but not much more. The thing here is I don't think we're getting close enough. See, now why do I think that is any more valid than that? Because then that would cut that off, okay. Okay. So apparently then that has to be there. Oh yeah, and since this is 1, 2 here, 1, 2 here, then that has to go there to solve for that. Which then brings that out. And it can't go that way, so it's gotta go that way. Which then now finally locks us down. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. It almost makes sense to see if I block that off, then I would have to do that, which then would mean I would have an L. So we have like 2 L's here, neither of which really work. Guess that works. That's too many though. So it's still very much a case where a lot of these puzzles just succeed by goofing around with it more than anything else. If these 4 dark and all 4 dark have to be in a row. Yeah, well, I guess the question is more, if this sees 2 in a row, then this has to do some sort of shape like that. But that may not be the right position, because I could also have it go. I guess I really couldn't go that way, could I? And then if this one needs to see 3 in a row, then that is an L shape of some sort, I would say. And then if this needs to see 2 in a row, then how are we gonna get 2 in a row connected? Because it kind of seems like that would have to be the path. Oh yeah, I guess if all whites need to be connected, is there a possibility that we'd block something off? That is wrong. I was kind of thinking that was the case. I guess that has to be a T, which should move this into just being a block. No, a line. Of course, the real mysteries are going to be the real challenge. Area must equal the region. What happens if we were to do that? Or 20 over. All dark regions must be 4. No two dark regions can be the same. Which inherently means we just need a T and an S. And so what are we missing? An L? So how can we get an L? So that was just recognizing the 5 different shapes that you can do. Connect all light areas. No, 2 darks are the same, all have 4. So it really is just the same thing over and over again. That has to go in that direction. It has to go in that direction. And then this could go here and here, or here and here. This could do anything. This can almost be anything. But we have to connect the whites. So. That would connect, block off that section. That has to do that. That has to do that. Okay. So then that only leaves the T, which, no, we already have the T. Only leaves the line. Do the T, and then the box. I don't recall ever even having seen these symbols. Oh yeah, myopic arrows. It's 2 myopic arrows connected. Point to all the closest cells of the opposite color. Okay. We can't make this pattern. Clearly there's something broken with their difficulty system, though, that they have 7 layers of difficulty on puzzles, and somehow have figured a way of ranking the puzzles, either procedurally or by hand. I would assume then we could make some guesses. But yeah, you do that, and you do that, you do that, and you do that, and you do that, and you do that, and that solves one rule. Do we have to connect all the dark areas? No, but we do have to have dark areas that are all 4 in a row. Which, how in the world do you do that? without doing that, which then means that and that. Although that doesn't have to be that way. So yeah, I guess that solves that. Then just gonna make some shapes here. Seems like you could have probably swapped some of these shapes and it wouldn't have changed too much. That there was an alternate way in which this plus this T could have been here and this S could have been here. And that doesn't seem like that would have changed anything. I guess the easiest way you would fix a broken hint system like a game like this with a broken difficulty system would be to have a hint system that would come into play. That way you would know you'd be able to balance things pretty easily by just giving bonus hints for more difficult puzzles. Or you could potentially shave down the size of some puzzles. I imagine the move is to spend the least amount of time on each puzzle, though. You don't want it. You don't want to spend a lot of time on them. Okay, well if that can be a straight line, then that has to curve that way. We'll just adjust things here. So we are short one of the symbols, which would be the S. You can't put a square here, can't put a square here. Could put a square here. Yeah, there's just no other way to draw this, so you're going to have an L. Could do T. So which one did we get wrong? If that is wrong, and that's locked in, then that is wrong. And that's locked in, then that is wrong. That's locked in. There's the right amount That took a lot of fiddling. We can see there's another puzzle over there, and yeah, there's just going to be logic gates everywhere. The only one that might play a role here would be this, which dark regions of 5, which I think they put this here probably just to show that the number of shapes is probably going to get exponentially bigger as you approach 5. And that there yeah, I imagine that there is just a lot of different patterns one can do. Although finding all the patterns might be difficult. Yeah, I imagine the whole point here is to learn. There might be an actual rule here I'm missing. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different shapes if the number of regions increase to 5, which, yeah, that's a lot more than 5 different shapes. And so there's their bonus. I did need to do that. Okay, well, let's now look at where we are. We have 1,324 studs, sparks, whatever. Not studs, this isn't a Lego game. And then mysteries. So there was one here that I think is a hint to what we're looking at. But inherently I'm just gonna have to go through them all. 5 wise orbs greeted by sentinels who are beside the tallest tree on the island. The logic grid sleeps behind them. Solve it, but with the rules. 5 wise orbs greeted by sentinels. Yeah. Here we go. Stand at the bridge that connects 2 curved promenades. Face one parent and its 4 children, who each have 8 legs. Solve the logic grid on your left using the rules of logic grid on your right, replacing A, B, C with 1, 2, 4, 8. Okay, where we're standing on the map. Eight legs each. I mean, that would almost have to be a spider. That we'd see an actual picture of an actual spider somewhere. Though. And inherently, here's one we haven't even done. Yeah, that makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense to me. Let's see. Now, at a certain level, I guess the question is, where do we really even have room to connect A7? Three. It's just way too many pieces. Okay, I guess we're not too far away now. We just need an S shape. Is there a way to get an S shape without changing too much? Okay, for Shady Wildwood then, we have one trial, which we know we're probably never going to do, which is the Match 3 challenge round. I wasn't even really able to do the Match 3 speed challenge, and it is effectively the same challenge, as far as I can tell. You would think maybe challenge round would mean something different otherwise, and then I don't know where the other challenge is. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to just start going to the 5th area. Yeah. The only thing I could think is I missed 2 puzzle pieces, 2 puzzles there. And so maybe one of the side quest trials has always been to do 100%, which I think that is probably exactly the case. Which that would mean then we are in a very good shape as far as doing 100% of all the enclaves. Otherwise, there's only one side quest in the 5th area, and I imagine it actually is just a side quest. It might be a quest for perfection. Yeah. And so then it's just do these Towers of Insight in the 5th area. Unfortunately, I don't now believe that this is an area with a connected to a mystery. It really is just going to come down to using a walkthrough guide to solve the mysteries. I don't think there's any way of getting around it. I've done a lot here to try to familiarize myself with areas, and I fully have to admit that there are a lot of areas here where I have just never stepped foot, and there's a what might as well be described as infinite a number of puzzles. Let's see. Chroma puzzles. Exact right angle. Definitely seems like that's the right spot. I guess you just have to be careful not to stand on the launch pads. Yeah, I'm repeating myself quite a bit, but those launch pads definitely give the impression that there was supposed to be a significant amount of time here in which you weren't going to actually be able to fly and glide. This is shooting you in all kinds of different directions. It's kind of interesting actually how that whole area does just kind of stop. we saw another. Hey, here's some elephants. Was one of the mysteries discussing elephants at one time? I think really the only way you'd hit that is from below. No, I think we saw lions mentioned once, but I don't think we saw elephants mentioned. And there's just a lot of stuff here, a lot of room for stuff. Need to move this piece because it's the smallest out of the way. Doing that, yeah. I think there's also an invisible cube around here. Now I'm trying to look around this area just so I kind of know what's in this area. There is definitely a weirdness around the fact that you have very few places where you actually go inside a building, and when you do go inside a building, it is not decorated in any way. And see, the funny thing there is I have to fully admit that I have ranted against things like Skyrim that are just full of pointless items. Yeah, Skyrim is a great example. Bethesda games in general, kind of great examples of that. The world is just full of pointless vendor trash items that even if you can't pick them up, they are just dragging down your graphics card. And this game is doing a similar thing with the foliage, but yeah, it isn't just an all or nothing situation, and there clearly is a balance that can be made and had as far as something being on the inside of these worlds. It makes the whole world feel just completely dead. Otherwise, when there's just like absolutely nothing inside a building. I'm just going to kind of fly over here. There's actually quite a lot of elephant statues, so that too would make me assume that there really can't be too much. If I really had only seen one pair of elephant statues, that would stand out a lot more. And these edge sections, I guess, probably should be more considered. As far as some puzzles. Yeah, there's a whole edge section over here. Seems to have almost nothing in it. Which you could take two assumptions from that. You could either assume that maybe something will unlock there at some point, or maybe this is just an element in an area where they were rushed for time and as such didn't put any content in it. Still not sure. Feels like you're gonna go just in full circles here. This is a waste of time, really, so let's just leave. And normally I wouldn't in any way justify or be able to, out of my own obsessive compulsiveness, leaving a puzzle and not finishing it, but when a game throws 10,000 plus puzzles at you, it's just such a ridiculous, overwhelming number. The right question is worth more than 1,000 answers. These are pointless sayings as far as I can tell. I mean, they might as well just be directly lifted from some book of Chinese proverbs. This is weird. I don't feel like I've been here before. But I must have. This is how I got to Vaulted Heights. I may have cheated my way to Vaulted Heights, honestly. So, it may also just be a case where I just don't remember it. Particularly if I just had approached it from this direction, the views would have looked very different. down. Heads in the clouds, feet on the ground. So, don't make this shape, so make that. Instead, you know what? Then doesn't that mean something along that line? Let's see. Yeah, this is going to just continuously add in pieces. Yeah, you can solve almost everything here with just that. Not going to work as well. I don't see a way you solve that. See, most of these puzzles are not solvable by simply putting in everything and looking for every error. But in this case, I think we are going to very quickly realize that that is exactly the case. So you don't have to put any thought into this whole process. In fact, I think the logic probably answers itself pretty quickly here as far as rectangular patterns. So then the question becomes, does this solve its own issues? I feel like this is just a pattern. That somehow the pattern fixes a lot of this. Might be more lines. And I'm out of foresights now. Not really much you can do here. Either we could jump into another one. I hope that this maybe is going to be a bit easier. Although inherently what has probably happened here is I've been given the opportunity to be lazy mentally, and my brain took that opportunity and now I'm just not putting any real thought into it. Okay. How can we do a 5? Turn this all around. Okay. I think we're getting a little bit lucky here. We need every single spot we can get. So I don't think there's a lot of goofing around that can be done here. There's no way that's right. That goes there, that goes there. That takes those two out. That takes those two out. Knows how time freezes. Okay. That was actually very close. I guess what we can do is see if we are just expanding. See, I don't know how you get this shape other than doing that, so maybe you get rid of that. We'll just try and optimize our time the best here. Alright. So that has to connect. It has to connect in a way where said shape doesn't exist. Straight lines. Seemingly the right answer there. Okay. But we can't make this shape. Which just then kind of means that has to be there, 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 and then that is there. Okay. 6. I guess the split here is going to be something like that. And then there's just quite a lot of extra space. So I suspect that the move here is to squeeze everything in that way. Because there's actually only so many ways this can go, right? This is going to be just a massive chunk. That's going to be a massive chunk. Figure out if we can squeeze this into better shape, or turn around here and use a hint. we go. I suspect this is straight up just going to be a pattern. Easy victory for that Tower of Insight. And we'll use our foresights here. 2, 4, 6. We're 1 short. Okay. I would just add a bunch of spaces. Interesting, so that is black. Well, that is black. It's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. We're short 1. I don't get it. I don't get how I could connect all of this. If that is just blocking off that, then that makes this whole puzzle smaller. Yes. But there's no way to block off this section from that section. Hmm. 3, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I still don't see the right number. Yeah, that was just dumb luck. Alright, well, we did that. And that's not enough. We did that. And that, it's not enough. I think it kind of makes sense would be that. That kind of has to go that way. That 4, 5, 6, 7. Connect it maybe that way. There's no way this is just going to line up, though. Two, 4, 6. So I'm just slowly trying to move everything downward. But I don't see exactly how you can do that. Is there any other possibility that maybe I was supposed to go vertical instead of horizontal? Seems to me like that probably is the case. Do that, do that, do that. Do that. Do that. Again, I feel like I got lucky there. It's another Mirabilis down. Now on this area, did we get all the puzzles done? Yes. Are we looking in the right direction for the next one? Yes. These are the sentinels. by the way, mentioned. They don't, by my definition, really feel like sentinels, but yeah. I would expect something much more human. This whole world feels oddly disconnected from humans, and yet the puzzles feel like something humans would have thought up, obviously, because humans did think them up. At least we assume that's the case. And even if artificial intelligence was involved, I still would probably credit that to humans. More hidden cubes everywhere. It is interesting how the audio noise of what is this? Off by 1. It's not the one on top of the mountain. It's over here. Sing off by 1, near, far, whichever they are. Okay. All numbers are off by 1. Okay, so this one sees, has to see 3, so that has to be true. That has to be true. That has to be true. This one has to see 2. So then that has to see 2. This one has to see 1. And 2. And 3. And since it's seeing 3, it could stop there. 1 could be 2. 3. That would be okay. This has to be 2. Then that is 5, 6. Pull through all of these fairly quickly. And that really is the best case scenario, or that could be the best case scenario. We have to connect all light paths, so it has to be that way. So that has to then be that net. Yeah, it's got to be something closer to that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sneaking that 3, 4, but that's too high. Also, this would have to be 5. Confused. Very confused. Connect all light cells. It says, how in the world do you connect all light cells? Because you just won't get this 4. Oh, I guess you go that way. And do that. And do that. 3, 4. So again, we're connecting all light cells, which means that is that much to start with. Probably that much is that much. This can't be 1, so this has to be 3, which means that has to go that way, which I think probably puts us in that pattern. Yeah. One more of these. We have to connect all light cells too, so I think that inherently means that has to break out that way. And 4 either is 3 or it is 5, which I'd be tend to believe. Okay, slight problem there, I think. Got almost everything, correct? Let's use a foresight. That is wrong. Why is that wrong? Why does that even matter? So I guess what we're doing is sneaking around. Are we connecting all light cells again? Yes, we are. I think this one's gonna probably prove to be fairly easy. Doesn't it just feel like there should be something about the game where solving Towers of Insights can't be skipped? Yeah. I think it's probably a case where they were so enthralled with the idea of sneaking onto islands, they didn't consider that sneaking on islands would have you skip important content. And I think in this case, part of the important content, whether you snuck onto an island or not, is the Towers of Insight. So you almost certainly should have been forced to solve a very specific Tower of Insight before you would be able to go to an enclave. And there really should just be a very rigid pattern of solve the Tower of Insight, then solve the enclave, then move on to the next area to do the same for the next group of puzzles. This feels like a puzzle that if you're going to solve it, you're going to have to do some parkour, land on a specific platform, no telling which one. There's basically nothing back in that direction otherwise. So I see a whole perception puzzle. Yep. I don't see actual angle they would like me to look at it from. Not sure which puzzle which marker I'm supposed to be flying to. That one. This area in particular gets very rocky. I feel like the rockiness doesn't add much to the world. It's just visually overwhelming for a GPU and kind of empty otherwise. If you had to climb in a game, that would mean something. Okay, area numbers must equal the region, and this is an underclude grid. So there's only one thing we can know for certain, which is what? That 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah. There's no way this is white. Or, wait a minute. There's every way that is white. Because you needed the off by 1 number. So they wanted you to make sure you understood that this starts and counts as a 1, so you need something then that would keep it even or odd. And since each of these pieces, except for the ones, are 3s, then that has to be that. Which then blocks off way too much. So is there another way this 7 could get to where it needs to go? Yes, if we did that. 3. And that. Okay. 4. 6. That and that. Okay. Visible cells of that same color in that direction. 2, 4, 6, 7. So that is 2, 4, 6, 7. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And that was an underclued grid, and I didn't even realize it. Let's see, visible colors in that direction. If I did that, that would be 3. I couldn't get another 1 that way. If I did that, that would be 3. And I couldn't get another 1 in that direction. Is that correct? No, that isn't correct. I could do that. Okay. And then that was white, and that was black, and that was white. And then if that was white, nope, that's got to be black. And if that was white, then that was white. And then underclued grid again, darts count the opposite colors. So one of these two have to be dark, which I'd assume is that, and that, and then 2 here has to combine with this. Interesting. So we don't know for certain whether it's either one of those. So what do we know for certain? Well, we know for certain it can't be that, I guess. And what else do we know? That has to be that. Okay. Let's see if we can solve this one without using so many hints. 2, 2 makes that have to be black, or that have to be black. If this was black, then that would have to be black, and that would have to be black. Just looking at the pattern here, I'm thinking it's something like that. Well, that works for a couple, but not for much. Okay. That one is done now. And I'm not high enough for any of the rest of those. Was that going to really take me anywhere? As far as a flying quest goes. Notice There's sentinels and a lone logic grid. Nope, there's another logic grid. It's not a lot of logic grids. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, let's check. Let's see. In the most distant memories, we passed 5 wise orbs. They were greeted by sentinels who sit beside the tallest tree in the island. Yeah. Tallest tree in the island. What that really sounds like to me is more like the very first tutorial area has a mystery in it, which would make a lot of sense. And there's like a whole nother jump to this. So the trick is you jump here, you get enough momentum to get high enough. Fly around in a circle, I guess. Missing just like all of them. There's something weird. It felt like when we originally could fly, we just didn't lose momentum. And now it totally feels like we lose momentum and curve downward. Like the game updated at some point and just didn't really make a big deal about it being updated. Didn't really think all the flying puzzles through when it updated. And it does seem like in these final areas they are delighting in the concept of having a sky drop be right where you're about to hit a jump. There's all kinds of temples, which once again have basically nothing in them. One puzzle that might be a secret mystery puzzle, but why even try? Unfortunately, that is a problem that I'm going to be beset with regardless of whenever I ask that question in this game. There's just the sense of overwhelmingness with 10,000 plus puzzles that you're going to be left with that question is why even try? And this isn't the only game where that has been a problem. that I played, but this is by far the biggest game I've ever played, where you have that huge amount. Okay, we are going to connect everything. Connect all the light ones. We know we cannot do 2 dark in a row, which means we can make plus signs around all the darks to start with. Then we know we can't do 4 in a row, so that has to be dark. And we know that has to be connected, and so that has to be dark. We know that has to be connected. Okay. Then we know that has to be connected, so that has to be dark. Which then makes that pattern and connects that one. Okay. Let's see. Your instinct, my instinct would be to put a dark here and connect this and this, but then I'd have to put a dark there. Do I know that for certain? Well, here's a 3, so that has to be dark. And then here, that has to be dark. Okay. We just heard the sound effect that our hints had been revealed, but you can't use hints in the quest for perfection. We know this has to be connected, which then makes that dark, which means that has to be connected, which makes that dark, which then makes that be connected. Alright. This whole section has to be connected there. Okay. That makes that dark there. That does make that dark, and that there. Same rules, different puzzle. Hopefully they will stay the same rules. Can't do that, so that connects there. Which means that has to connect there, which means that does that. Yeah, take it nice and slow. Don't make any mistakes if we can avoid it. We should be able to avoid it. There's also an obvious repetitiveness when making videos around these puzzles. Inherently, that is the thing about puzzles, is that particularly jigsaw puzzles and logic grid puzzles like this, is it is simple actions repeated very fast. The kinds of actions that can be replicated by a computer's processor thousands, if not millions, if not billions of times faster than a human can. Which, you know, there is probably room for evolution as far as puzzles go for a more human way of solving puzzles, or human-centric puzzles, instead of simple actions being repeated over and over again. But certainly the human mind likes the simple actions repeated over and over again. I'm having a hard time seeing the next step here, but also I'm not paying enough attention to it, so that's not really a surprise. So this has to connect here, and this has to connect here, which both makes both of those dark. At that point, this has to connect here, making that dark. Same rules still? Yes. I got lucky there and misclicked. Like, misclicked in the right spot, I guess. It only penalizes you if you put in the wrong answer. It doesn't penalize you if you put in the right answer at the wrong time. So again, can't do 4 in a row. Which is going to, I think, limit our possible directions a lot more this time. Missing? What am I not seeing? If this connected here, this would have to be dark. Does that mean for certain that's the case? This has to connect here, I guess. Can take that much, and then that means that has to be dark. So we can do that much, and that will bring us to that spot. That spot. That means this whole thing has to connect at least at that spot. And I think we can guess how this is going to go. That has to connect, that has to be black, that has to be black, that has to connect. Somewhere this has to connect, and somewhere this has to connect. But if everything is connecting over here, then we know that and that have to connect, making that black. And then we can only go that far to connect there. And then that would be a 4 in a row, so that has to be black. And this has to connect white. So now all the rules change. All dark regions have an area of 2. We cannot make a 2x2 grid of white, and we have to connect all light pieces. Okay. Some of this we can play up. And automatically solve. Then connecting all light cells, so that has to be there. So it does that much to do that, which also this much to do that. Let's see. Dark regions, regions of 2. Well, there's a lot of options. Still. Well, this would be the pattern, so that has to be dark and that has to be dark. Okay. Do we have anything else so far? I could guess that this is white because there isn't enough room for a 2 of dark, I guess. Which then means that has to be dark there. And then this pattern would be made again, so that has to be dark, which means that has to be white, and that has to be dark. Okay. Slowly making progress. Inherently this has to be dark. Whether this is dark or this is dark, I don't know. And inherently this has to be dark. Which then if this was dark, that would make too big of a space, so we know it's that much there. It does kind of leave you guessing as far as that one. If I was to put a dark here or a dark here, I don't think it actually changes anything. This has to be dark. Yeah. One would assume it goes up this direction. Also, because if I put a dark here, then this would be too big to have a dark there. There could be a dark here though. Dark here and then dark there. Feels like there should be something more. We do have to connect all whites though, don't we? So then that has to be that shape. So there was a limiting factor there. Yeah. And either this connects here or this connects here. If this didn't connect here, which this can't be dark, can it? So now it either connects here or here or here. The picture here, which oddly connects to the picture above here, is totally wrong for what it's actually trying to explain. Then, yeah, each symbol here should be very distinct for what it's saying and what it is meaning. And they really just kind of make quick and dirty example pictures. Because ideally what you'd want to have is people who are completely illiterate be able to play this puzzle game and just recognize and memorize what a pattern, what the picture looks like, and figure out eventually what that means. I think we may actually be close to being done. No, we've only solved 3. I think we have to solve 5. Well, let's ask a question about this. If we did this and did this, that would stop that pattern. If we did this, that would stop that pattern. But if we did this, and then this was all white to connect, then would that be a problem? No. If we did this, would that be a problem? No. Well, if we know this is here and this is here, then inherently isn't that white? Inherently isn't that then have to be black? Okay, no 2s again, and no 4s in the white columns. And we're connecting all light cells. Okay. guess if we're connecting all white cells, then that has to go there. The thing about this is just, it does seem like there are times when you just lose momentum on these puzzles. And I could kind of assume it's just going to be zigzag patterns of a maze-like layout, but am I certain about that? Because this could be dark or this could be dark. What am I missing? Yeah, I think it's here, but like, if this was white, then this would have to be black, and this would have to be black, which would lock out that whole area, so that has to be black. Okay. That solves one thing. If this was black, then this could be white, and it would connect. If this was black, then this would be white and it could connect. If this was black, this would just curve around. If this was black, then this would be white. If this was black. One of the two have to be here. And, oh, and this 3 makes it there. Okay, that solves that problem. And then this 3 makes that black. Okay, and that then becomes black. That becomes white. I had a real concern that the quest for perfection was going to be way more challenging in this world. That being said, I also have to ask a question as to, I feel like I had found this quest for perfection before, and it feels like it was in a completely different space, and I just don't think for a second that this world is shifting around that much that entire buildings would change. But yeah, more than likely, I just approached it, I think, from the waterfall there, and then just don't really remember this location. The all-seeing wars are going to not work. I'm glad there aren't too many of those around. Yeah, we never really did catch on to why there's an inconsistency in this game where you mostly walk on the water, but there's a couple places where you sink into the water more. Right. There's just so much going on. much going on, so many puzzles. So much of everything. And it's important to remember now, I've unlocked all the abilities. So, getting more puzzles solved is really more a matter of just pride more than anything. This is you have to approach it slowly. Aura, which is just a total speed bump. Okay, all-seeing monolith. It's the last thing. The all-seeing monolith is not pointing to anything at all. We've done all the pillars of insight. As far as I can tell, we've done all the puzzles in the Enclave. Well, maybe we haven't. Maybe we didn't do 100% on this one. Because, yeah, I see there is a little bit of a thing there. Yeah. Yeah, we got stuck at the vaulted heights. So yeah, it's either a case that there is a monolith fragment extremely close, or well, there's actually another case, isn't there? I was trying to jump up really high there, and that didn't work. Let's try a different approach. And we're stuck again. Maybe gave up a little too easy on that one. Okay. So I have three theories. One theory is that there's only one monolith fragment in the entirety of this area left, and it is somewhere very close to where we are. Second theory, either because we haven't done 100% of the puzzles, or close to 100% of the puzzles in the enclaves, we have not charged the all-seeing monolith, or there's some other element around the all-seeing monolith that has to be charged that I'm just not, I never figured out, even despite having done several of these before. And then the third theory is that I am supposed to find like the all-seeing monolith that is way over there and there and the one there and the one there, and I'm supposed to connect them to this all-seeing monolith. Which I suspect that is not the case. All that being said, though, where in the world is this flinging me? The highest viewpoint. From the highest viewpoint, can we see the all-seeing monolith? I'd have to know where they even are on the map. I just don't think we're at that level. But what we can do, I guess, is fly over to vaulted heights. See if we can make it. What I suspect is the case is that you don't lose momentum if you're flying over sky, empty sky. And you do lose momentum if you're flying over ground. That would make a decent amount of sense. Right. There are 4 puzzles somewhere here that are either very well hidden logic puzzles or hidden rings. Either one, or they could be sky drops. I guess the question worth asking is it possible that we've gotten better at finding puzzles? This is another cross the streams spider web type layout. Here's one we haven't solved. Okay. Connect all dark cell areas, and then viewpoint numbers tell you the number that they see. So if this saw has to see at least 2 extra compared to what that would see. if we were gonna do that, we would have to connect all dark areas, wouldn't we? Still don't see, like, there's no way this works, is there? These have to be connected. Then if that's connected, it's already too high. To use a foresight. That wasn't useful. I don't understand how that could work. Understand how any of this can work. Guess that could work. Okay. So that leaves 3 remaining puzzles. And the best thing I guess I can do is just work my way down and around. Let's see. This could be on any little cliff. Could also be in the trees. Could also be hidden in a few buildings that exist around this whole place. This section, this enclave in particular, was far too big. Could have cut it in half. Is far too big. You run into the real danger of Just running around in circles. I had very high hopes that you could do the all-seeing monoliths, and then the all-seeing monoliths would mark puzzles, or that you would beat the game and you would get a radar of some sort that would point towards puzzles. All of those would have been helpful additions. Unfortunately, we didn't get any of that. Instead, we've been given just more puzzles. Which, if you love the puzzles, getting more puzzles almost always would have been a good way to go. But this far approaches into the point of disrespecting the player's time. 10,000. That definitely feels like that's a mandate from either a publisher or an insane, obsessive game producer, developer, the person in charge. Uh, 10,000 also has slight meaning in Mahjong, a Chinese, very common and very popular game in Asian countries, not particularly played well enough in non-Asian countries. So there might be some slightly higher meaning to them picking 10,000. Let's walk this way. Have I ever actually walked in this direction? And then you have like all these sky drops, which are just permanent fixtures. Flown up to this area. And here's one of the rare occasions where you do see something humanoid. It'd be really annoying if it turned out that there were just 3 puzzles that were connected that I missed in the visual mess. What I should do, since we do have the ability, is make a warp point. And at the very least, that gives me a way of getting back up to these high spots. I feel like I hear something, but it could just be the music. This looks like a temple, so if there was a way inside the temple, Have I not solved this one? I guess not. Don't make this shape. Okay, well, then that has to go that way. Doesn't it? Totally did that wrong. And then we're connecting all dark cells. And with the white ones we can effectively do that. Okay. So my suspicion here is that we're going to have to curve this around a couple different ways to block off things. Yeah, that was that. So 2 more puzzles, which, yeah, if we found 2 of them up in the hilly areas. This one is glowing gold. That implies to me that it's been solved already. I wish the game would save your solutions, but I kind of understand why it wouldn't. Nothing behind any of the waterfalls. If there was something behind even one waterfall, it would have to be a mystery. Something extremely rare. Then this still weirdly makes sound effects when you stand next to it. And yeah, these waterfalls, the water just comes out of nowhere. But the surreal nature and unreality of this world, I think, works with that obvious shortcut, visual shortcut they're taking. There's a real danger in trying to solve something a second time, thinking that might be the puzzle you missed, and wasting a bunch of time. Pretty obviously, these puzzles should drastically change, not just glow, not just change their appearance, their skin, or disappear, which I'd say disappear is the real logical solution there. If all the puzzles were completely missing at this point, it would be really, really easy to find the one I missed, or the 2 I've missed. one? Or am I just too far away to see that it's glowing? Yeah, I can't even really tell. I think I solved that one. Let's see. There we can see one of the two remaining areas where we'd have to solve mysteries to do it. Alright, well, I think this puts us in a pretty weird position, but not a terrible position. There's two more puzzles on this island that I think I'll give the college try to look around. And then the other thing is like the all-seeing monolith, which would just have us running around the main area. So what I probably should do is off screen just figure out what makes the all-seeing monolith kick in, because that's really what we would want to do. I would kind of prefer like to just skip things and do the all-seeing monolith. There were puzzles here, so I suppose it is possible. This is still part of Vaulted Heights. Is it really believable though that there would be two, I don't know, hidden rings? So I could fly around, wander around off screen, looking for the two puzzles here, or I could move on to the next episode and fly around looking for all-seeing monolith pieces. There's a ring. Can I reach it? Or am I going to have to Yeah, and I heavily suspect that is probably what we also have missing, is that there's just another ring somewhere here. And you know, that's probably not a terrible place to look, really, is that it would just be on the edges. Areas weirdly Of course, to find invisible rings, you have to be fairly close to them when they're in the invisible state. But yeah, flying over Earth, losing momentum. Flying over sky, not so much. Do I think it's actually this low? I suppose there is a possibility that it could be very low. Certainly would be nice to get this, find the one remaining puzzle. Yeah, the ability to teleport yourself high up has proven to be somewhat useful at the very last second when we're extremely close to being done with the game, and definitely should have been unlockable much earlier in the game. Again, I would be interested in seeing some speedrunner run through this game with just foreknowledge and planning. That being said, a speedrun on this probably still would take forever and would be a lot of memorization of specific puzzles and locations of specific puzzles. It would just be like the easiest puzzles to solve out of all the possible puzzles. It is still also totally possible that there is a logic grid and not a hidden ring in this whole area. I'm trying to see. Maybe some of these tunnel sections might have an extra ring. I suppose even these laser lines might have an extra ring connected to them. Just flying from one spot to another. Here we see a tree with a ring around it, so suppose there's a possibility that there's another tree with a ring around it. Any gimmick they have done before has a chance of being repeated. Have a level of repetition, it feels like. could be high in the sky. Almost certainly it's not in this. It's not a sky drop. Right, and it would have to be below this area. Possible it's like hidden under a segment, something that would have just like always driven my eyes upward. Definitely feels to me like the hidden rings are just what the glide ring challenges would have been had they spent more time making more glide ring challenges. And yeah, I would have definitely preferred 100% glide ring challenges and no hidden rings, because that's not really logical. It's not a logic solution to wander in a location looking for things. There is a lot of wasting of the player's time happening here. Yeah, I could definitely see if somebody came here for puzzles and then or realized they were spending an extra hour even wandering around looking for puzzles or looking for hidden objects. They may not be very pleased with that. Possibility that this is actually just a stupidly easy to find ring and I'm just have a mental block. Or it's a stupidly easy to find logic block that I'm just walking right past. One of the gimmicks we have seen done several times is a ring that is leaning against a rock, so you'd have to actually walk on it. I suppose that's a possibility. would have been really crazy if it was right just behind a wall. I mean, it's possible. Everything's possible. That's a problem. Probably should just walk, keeping my eyes downward. You would think in a place labeled vaulted heights, though, that everything would be upward. And it does feel like most things are upward in an upper area. We need to end the episode, and this is kind of just a great example of the question that should be asked as far as who does it serve to have so many puzzles, 129 in an area? Does it serve the player, or does it serve a game developer's desire to make the game last longer in the hopes? In this case, I don't even know what the hopes were for. I think this game was probably designed to have some kind of microtransactions or monetization or a monthly service attached to it. None of those things actually exist in the game, though. So the only possible thought is that they actually consider it a selling point to say this game takes way too long and has 10,000 puzzles on it, which in all fairness, that was at least intriguing on the surface of it to see this game describe 10,000 puzzles for half a second or so, until I considered the actual implications of that. Probably just make a lot of sense to solve the it probably would just make a lot of sense to solve the puzzles. Second time, just to try and figure out what is going on. Yeah. So I solved that. I wasted the foresight to solve it. We got no sound effect. So we know that wasn't the right one. This arch in particular is big enough there could have been a second invisible ring. Unfortunately, I don't believe that there is a guide out yet that would show just every single puzzle. So yeah, I don't think that there's really a way I can cheat this off screen just to find the final puzzle. It's very possibly it's in some corner. It would be very annoying if it did turn out that there was a puzzle I missed at that first island. But actually, we know this isn't it. Let's just take a moment and think back. Yeah. I know I don't have to do 100% of all the enclaves, and while I would like to do 100% of the enclaves, if it's going to add 2 or 3 extra hours of gameplay, then forget it. But we know we didn't in the previous area do all of the elements, do all of the enclaves to 100%, and the all-seeing monolith still pointed towards things in that case. So that's not the reason that the all-seeing monolith is not activating. Goddess, the temple has fallen over. If the temples are so precious, I would think you'd be more careful with them. These temples have long been touched by time. Part of their beauty is in their resilience, and indeed they endure. But the fracture unleashes a maelstrom that shook the entire realm. Many records were destroyed in that moment. Can they ever be rebuilt? Records can be restored as long as their world still live. And the world still lives. Why haven't you fixed them yet? The fracture nearly destroyed me too. Wow, that seems like that's a rather important piece of backstory to completely miss. In fairness, it is right next to the pearl. I just never had an opportunity for the pearl to go in that direction. So yeah, the temple has fallen over, as far as I can tell. Now the Aurora, remember, is the goddess of this world, not these shy Auroras. They seem not to likely be connected. It might also just be a case that in this 5th and final area, they are not going to let you see and get a hint on the all-seeing monolith. It may just be a case that next episode, we are going to have to wander around this whole area a lot. Which, in fairness, I haven't been around this area much. But, yeah. After that, though, there is nothing else to do as far as side quests. There are still huge numbers as far as the percentage of all-time puzzles you could solve in every single area. And then there are mysteries, which with my familiarization of this area, if it does become slightly more familiar, would not really lead to anything. And apparently this symbol here means something different. It just means you did the bonus. It doesn't mean you did 100%. There's still a ton of lore fragments that seem like they are somewhere else. And then, yeah, our mastery is not going to go up much because I'm not going to spend too much time trying to solve the puzzles. And then as far as like, I guess we can acquire new outfits and just start unlocking things with the sparks. But if the game wasn't glitched, I think you would probably want to save up and get the legendary stuff instead of the cheaper things. Yeah. Of course, that is just not going to be a major motivator for me in particular, is to keep me playing, is just to get a bunch of unlock abilities for costume abilities for our character. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, and keep on watching. Thanks.